What a weekend. Oh, wow. What a weekend for those Philadelphia Phillies. A lot to talk about. And underneath this smile, there is a lot of rage. So that's for sure. And we're going to talk about it in just a little bit. I actually do have a special guest that's coming on with me a little bit later on in the show after this little rant, and his name is CeeLo from On The Go with CeeLo. So please make sure that you hit the thumbs up button for him and give him a subscribe as well. Does an incredible job covering the Braves and NASCAR on this channel, and he does much, much more. But anyhow, hit the thumbs up button on here, hit the subscribe button as well, and turn on those notification bells, and that way you'll know when we go live for a Phillies, a Sixers, or an Eagles game, or a podcast, especially with this type of a rant here. So you don't want to miss out on these types of things. So with that being said, let's talk about the Phils, and let's get into everything because there's a lot to talk about that I'm not happy with. What an awful display that was. Oh my gosh, man. I've been so nice to this team. I've been throughout most of the season, it's been nothing but positives with this team. But what was that on Saturday and Sunday? Where were they? There was no effort. There was no sort of just confidence or even just I just have no clue what ended up happening in Saturday and Sunday's game. Runners at first and second, ground out to end the inning. Runners at second and third with 2 outs and maybe even the top of the 5th inning. Yeah, they're not going to get a run because guess what? They just had terrible plate discipline throughout this whole entire weekend. And I don't care if Kyle Schwarber, JT Realmuto, and Bryce Harper are not in this lineup. When you have a lack of plate discipline and you're hacking at all these pitches and you can't even take a pitch, okay? Bryce Harper, JT, and Kyle Schwarber, there's nothing about that they can do. That's on the Phillies players that are playing themselves. And with the way that they played this weekend, it was just absolutely atrocious. And you have every right to complain about just the lack of offense that they had. It was absolutely abysmal. It was atrocious. Whit Merrifield, I'm done. I'm done with Whit now. I'm absolutely done with him now. Even though Schwarber and Harper aren't even playing, he does not deserve to be starting in my outfield or in my infield. Rob Thompson needs to stop with the platooning with Brandon Marsh and playing Whit Merrifield or even Christian Pache instead. Marsh needs to be playing every single day. He has to. He has to be playing every single day. Okay, I actually felt a little bit embarrassed this weekend because I figured that the Phillies were actually going to show a little bit of life to them. And, I collaborated with I collaborated with Larry on Larry Dixon Way's site, and I had a really fun time. But you know what? It just would have been so helpful if the Phillies actually scored some runs and helped me out. But no, they didn't have to do that because guess what? They were just absolutely atrocious. They were awful. The one thing that really bugged me, okay, yesterday's game, top of the 8th inning, Bryson Stott puts up a 6-pitch at bat, gets on with a walk. You're down 5-0, and what does Trey Turner do? He swings at the first pitch and flies out. It's a 5-0 ball game. Okay, you're having a hard time getting on base. Bryson Stott's trying to start a rally for you later on. Why are we swinging at the first pitch? There was no plate discipline throughout this whole entire series on Saturday and Sunday. And even in the later halves of Friday night's game, I'm not even going to get too nitpicky there. But my gosh, was that really awful. I'm actually now worried about Bryson Stott. For the first time this season, I have to admit it, Bryson Stott has not been good offensively at the plate. And even though Schwarber's coming back, Bryson Stott needs to be batting in the bottom part of the lineup. It's been that bad. Bryson Stott has not been good for the Phillies this season offensively at the plate. And it just has to be said. It has to be said. I'm coming in with a little bit of fire because, honestly, I am a little bit disappointed, and I am a little bit bummed out. And this team definitely deserves to be criticized when things aren't going the right way and when they're not putting up good at-bats. I understand that you're missing guys like JT and Schwarber and Bryce Harper. But this team had that next man up mentality, and my expectation for them this weekend was for them to flat out show a lot of effort against these Braves and show a winning type of a mentality. You're going to put us down. We're down 4-1. Oh, we're going to fight back. There was no fight. None. No fight at all whatsoever. That's what was really disappointing. Michael Mercado, boy, was that an awful outing. I've seen enough. I've seen enough from Michael Mercado. I guess that the only good thing that came out from this weekend was that Tyler Phillips pitched really, really well. Take that for what it is. Good for the kid, but everybody else really just had a bad day. Witt can't be playing, man. I'm so tired. The blue was also terrible, too. I mean, Mike Estabrook, Las Diaz, and even Gibson, Trip Gibson as well, they were terrible behind the plate. But what else is new? Because this has been a problem for a little bit of time. I just had to point that out there. If there's a ball that's like a foot above, a foot off the plate, strike. If it's a foot above the strike zone, strike. Because that's what they're going to call. And these umpires have really sucked as well. And that definitely does not make me feel any sort of better at all whatsoever. Spencer Schwellenbach pitched on Saturday. Do you realize that Spencer allowed 4 earned runs in each of his last 2 outings? You know what the Phillies did? They got about 7 hits off of him and only put up 1 run. Testament to Spencer for delivering, but at the same time, I see Trey hacking at the first pitch a lot. I see Alec Bohm hacking at the first pitch. There was just a terrible plate discipline this whole entire weekend. Some of these innings, like even for example yesterday, you know how they started off the game? Ozzy Albies literally converted 3 groundouts for the 1-2-3 hitters to start off the game. Everybody grounded out to Ozzy Albies in that top of the first inning. The one thing that actually makes the Braves still a very good team is that they're actually able to jump on you really early. And once they get that jump on you, it's really hard to come back. Phillies just did not get started on a good path from the first inning in yesterday's game and even the game before that. Ranger was terrible. And Rangers going through a rough patch. But I'm just saying that this Braves team, how they won was they scored early and the Phillies had nothing else to show for it. And that was really ultimately disappointing to me at the end of the day. I'm not giving up on this team. I'm not telling you that this team stinks, but I'm very disappointed with how the Phillies played this weekend. And we have every right to be. Doesn't matter who was out there on the diamond. You gotta play with heart. They didn't play with any heart, in my opinion, just by watching them at the plate. And you're in Atlanta, like that's the weird thing. You would think that when they're playing against the Atlanta Braves, that they would just go out there and they would have this rah-rah mentality. But no, Marcell Ozuna is like looking into the visitor's dugout after he hits a home run. Matt Olson's teeing off. I mean, they just stepped on you, man. But now the question becomes, when you play against the Dodgers, how do you get back up? Because I've said throughout this whole entire season that the one thing that I love about this team is that when they get beaten down, they do get back up. But this is going to be a big test coming up from Tuesday to Thursday. And it helps that we're going to get Kyle Schwarber back. But I definitely need to see that. I'm just so disappointed with how they performed this weekend. And it was just not a good display at all whatsoever. There's a lot more that I could get into. But guess what? I have a guest that's over here. His name is Chris. He does an incredible show called On the Go with CeeLo. Please go check him out. I am going to provide his link in the live chat down below. He has a lot to say. I know that he's looking at me now. He's probably laughing internally. Guess what? This is not funny, Chris. Get your popcorn and enjoy this right now. I have nothing else to say. It was really just so abysmal. Just having to sit in Dixon's pod on Saturday, and this team just gave us nothing. Nothing. Terrible. All right, Chris is here. What's up, Chris? How you doing?
What's up, guys? How you doing, man? Are you all right? You need some tissues or
I'm good.
a shot, something?
I think I got him.
I'll tell you what. Friday.
What's up,
Friday
chat?
night
What's
game.
up,
of course, I did Friday's game. I didn't get to do Saturday or Sunday, but did tune in to the Dixon Wade. You guys on Saturday, but Saturday was full of a lot of bang plays that could have gone. Made a big difference, and I think one of them was when Duvall threw. Who was it? Kellen Clemens out at second. Is that right?
What did you say? I'm so sorry.
Adam Duvall, when he threw it from right field on Saturday's game and caught him.
I knew there was one thing I forgot to mention. Cody at that point
tried to extend the base to second.
Yep.
You would have had runners at the corners, but that was a big out.
It was a very big out, and Cody at the time, I understood why he tried to extend the single into a double there, but Adam Duvall has a cannon. Yeah. If he's slow, like that's like one thing because he can be really, really slow, but he has a gun, and the ball was hit to shallow right field. So my problem is with that play, it's early on in the game, and you have a runner in Brandon Marsh that just went over to third base. You can't make that out there.
Right.
You can't.
And then a couple other bang plays on Saturday. A play where it hit off the pitcher. I can't remember the pitch. It was right when Schwelly was in there, and I think it was when Schwelly was in there. It hit off of Schwelly's hand, and then Riley picked it up and threw him out.
That was a nice play
in the game.
That was a nice play. I definitely couldn't disagree with that. That was just a beautiful play.
The AJ Minter play where it hit back off of his glove. He came off the mound.
That was a nice play.
Ran over and threw out Merrifield at first, who's a fast guy. All these plays.
That's the one thing he does do.
And Eli White with a sliding catch in left field. All this stuff could have gone the opposite way, and Phillies win this game easily. But I mean, if it wasn't for Ozuna and Riley, Ozuna and Ozzy, Ozuna with 5 RBIs on the series and 4 for Ozzy. I mean, that's huge. Yeah. The other guys, yes, here's a homer by Olson. Here's a homer by Duvall. Here's a homer by Eli. Yeah, those are great. But if it's not for Ozuna and Ozzy, this is a different series. Well,
I'm happy that you look at it that way because I know that being on the other side, I'd probably feel the same way. I'm just more so I understand that baseball is a very wild game because it's all about momentum. But even when there were really good defensive plays like the Austin Riley play over at third base, I expected there to be heart. And even when, like, I give the Braves credit for executing on the defensive side, especially with that sliding catch that was made by Eli White. And even Kelenic out in center field, man, does he cover a lot of ground.
Yes,
I understand all those things. I still expected the Phillies to at least show more signs of oomph, more signs of life out there, and they weren't able to do it. And part of it, yes, it is a credit to the Braves, but also my team has to I expected more out of them, and they have to step up in this series because that was a big loss to the Braves. And this is your arch rival. You lost to them before in the very beginning of the season, and it didn't matter who was out there or not. It's a big series, and that needs to be noted. So,
and coming up August is going to be huge because we play 6 times in the month of August. So, and 3 in Atlanta and 3 in Philly. So, should be interesting. Is that right? Is it 3, both a 3-game series, or is it 4?
it is both a 3-game series.
Both 3-game series.
Yep.
Our pitching, Max Fried, I thought he did a great job. He had 6 innings. Chavez is really the one that really gave up the runs. Uncle Jesse, we call him Uncle Jesse on our channel, but he's the one that really kind of blew it open there with the big Trey Turner. The 2 homers were Max Fried's issue with Trey Turner. Both times he left it up high, and both times Trey Turner took advantage of it. Schwelly with 6 innings, and then Lopez has just been solid all year. He's been solid all year. They've been saving him, and now they're going to be pushing him into real starter territory. I think the last time out, he got up to 100 and some pitches, and he didn't do so well. But he looked good yesterday. But pitching as well, we'll see if what happens the next time around and who they face. But I'm sure if it would have been Nola and Wheeler and someone else, it might have been a different story on this weekend.
First of all, I want to make sure that I acknowledge the chat. The dude's here. Mike Green's here. I just put my boy CeeLo's link down below. Please make sure that you go subscribe to his channel. Let me know if the link actually does work. I hope it does, because I'm not on YouTube right now, and that was not really smart of me. But anyhow, hi chat. What's going on? I hope everybody's having themselves a very great day, for sure. Liz says, I totally feel your frustration. Yeah, I just, again, like, I expected there to be more heart from this team. I knew that Ranger was going to struggle. We all knew that this, like, that this incredible run wasn't always going to last. Now, I expect him to bounce back, and I expect him to have a better performance, but the Braves got to him early. His pitches were flat, and they took him out of the ball game, and that was their strategy. The Phillies just couldn't back him up, and that was really disappointing to me.
We're still there too.
Go. Yeah,
we're still there too.
Go. Yep. I do have to give, like, Ronaldo Lopez credit, because Ronaldo has been an incredible pitcher for you guys. But again, I was just, how many times did you see the Phillies just swinging at the first pitch? So many times. Yep. And I wasn't really bringing this up before, because guess what? When you're winning games, that's going to become something that's swept under the carpet. But when the pitching is not up to par and you're not winning games, the pendulum comes back in the other direction.
And then that was one thing about Max Fried on Friday. He took a lot of your batters to like 3 and 2, like constantly 6, 7, 8 pitches, and then they would get a hit or whatever. But normally, we're having people pop out. But on our end, on batting as well, like we're swinging. Like Arcia, he is constant first pitch swinger. That's what he is. And it showed. Arcia 1 for 4 on Friday, 0 for 3 on Saturday, 0 for 3 on Sunday. Duvall, he was 1 hit away from going 0 for 4 the whole entire time. And now it shows because they brought back Rosario. He's back on our team. Which is crazy.
It is. I mean, I guess Alex has to make things full circle.
I don't know. Maybe he's looking at 2021, we brought Rosario in, and
exactly.
Here we go.
Yep. So we bring back Adam Duvall. Now you got to bring back Will Smith. You got to get Dansby back, and you got to bring back Freddie as well, obviously.
And then Jock. Remember Jock too.
Of course, you can't forget about Jock Peterson. How can you forget about Jock Peterson?
We're gonna recreate the 2021 World Series team here.
Exactly. But hey, I think that the one thing that I didn't bring this up, okay, but when all is said and done with just this whole entire series, I talked about the bats being really disappointing. I was also a little bit disappointed in my manager. I thought that my manager did not manage this series like it was a playoff series. And I have to be honest, and I have to be objective here. because even yesterday they still waited too long to take out Michael Mercado. After the second home run, I mean, Matt Olson was going to rock him. Like, you just knew it. Like, he just didn't have his stuff. He walked 3 guys in the first inning. What are we waiting for? Mm-hmm. When they say that walks can be a pitcher's worst nightmare, and when you walk the bases loaded, I don't care what's going on, you're going to have to go to the bullpen earlier. Mm-hmm. That's just how it has to work. So he honestly shouldn't have been out there for the second inning. And I know Rob likes to do it because he likes to instill confidence in his guys, but we're talking about the Braves. This is a playoff atmosphere, and you can't just let Mercado just go out there and just rock himself because you knew that he didn't have his stuff. Mm-hmm. And that really came back to bite the Phillies too.
And that's what I was saying earlier in the year with us playing merry-go-round on this 5th starter. We were trying out AJ Smith-Shawver, and then we brought up Schwelly, and then this and that, and we're giving Lopez like every other week off. We're not skipping a start to keep him fresh. I'm like, the more we do this, the more we mess around, with these guys that we know are not going to be there for us at the end of the year. Yeah. We're wasting valuable time and spots in the standings by throwing these guys. And like tonight, Bryce Elder. Okay, yes, he had a good start last time we played. Sure. But playing against the Diamondbacks, I mean, I know it's a 4-game series. They got to do what they got to do, but I don't trust Elder for nothing.
Yep. I agree. And look, I was happy for Phillips yesterday. I mean, like, what a great story. Like, this guy literally went to Bishop Eustis, which is like really close to my house. So he's from my area. He's a year older than me. And to see him just make his debut, like, that was really awesome. But again, I'm looking at Rob here and I'm thinking to myself, again, this guy, Mercado, walks the bases loaded with 2 outs. And yet, while, yes, he gets out of the first inning, clearly he just doesn't have his stuff. There's something that's just not right. And when you're going up against the Braves, I don't care who's pitching. I don't care who you have available. Even if Taijuan Walker's hurt and Spencer Turnbull, if both of them are out, you got to make the switch. And you had the off day today, so like there's no excuse. So I was disappointed with just the decision making that also went on. And even in the 9th inning, I know that this is like not really going to make much of a difference, but it could have. Whit Merrifield's batting and you have a runner on base, you got to pinch hit. You got to put in David Dahl or somebody else. I don't care if it's a lefty on lefty or what the situation is. That I should tell you that Whit Merrifield has been terrible. That he's really been awful. And if this was a playoff game, he would have gotten crucified for that. Yeah. Absolutely would have gotten crucified for that. And who knows? Maybe David Dahl does get on base there. But there's no reason why he should be batting. He should not be getting at-bats at this point. It's been that abysmal. It's been that terrible.
Speaking of bullpen,
go for it.
The Braves bullpen this weekend, other than Chavez on Friday night, was awesome. Pierce Johnson, good to see AJ back, doing his thing. And Iglesias with the save opportunity on Saturday. So good to see those guys not giving any runs up. The only one that really struggled was Chavez on Friday, but good to see the Braves bullpen. It's been strong all season, but to handle a big time series like this and to shut the Phillies down like they did and help our starters go. And another thing, our starters go in 6 innings, all 3 games, saves your bullpen as well. So they're not so tired either. So,
absolutely. Guys in the chat, I want to make sure that I ask you all, how are you feeling? Like, I need a temperature check from all of y'all too, because, am I the only one that feels really this way? Like, should I actually feel disappointed? I'm the type of guy that, that's the optimist, and I'm the guy that when things are going well, like, there's nothing really to complain about. But I don't feel angry. That's a lie. I feel angry, but I feel more disappointed. That's the way that I'm looking at this whole thing right now. I was disappointed from everybody just who played out there. The only guy that I can't really say that I was disappointed with overall was Trey. I know that Trey gave it his best, even though there were a couple of times where he still made some defensive mistakes. And I didn't like it when he swung at the first pitch in that 8th inning and flies out after Stock gets on with an 8-pitch walk. I mean, you're trying to start a rally. You want to at least put up the pitch count of Pierce. That's all you want to do. And again, there was no sense of urgency. There was a lack of plate discipline. And even in the field at times, they just made some really bad plays. Phillies did not make some good plays in the field, and that really was terrible as well.
I'm sure he had those 2 homers in the back of his head thinking, I could be the hero right here. Let me take this first pitch because it's probably going to be the best pitch I get. Possibly.
Yep. Now, coming from a Braves perspective, I have to ask you, and my fans probably aren't going to like to hear this, but it has to be said, how you feeling about your team?
We're still 9 games back. We gotta play the Diamondbacks that are strong in Arizona. I'm sure somehow we're gonna mess this series up against the Padres, and then we got 2 weeks off. It's gonna be very critical for us to at least win both of these series. And I'm sorry, but hope for you guys to get swept by the Dodgers.
So, no, you don't have to apologize because
we have to take advantage of it.
I love this rivalry, man. I don't care.
And then after the break, we get
whatever.
the Cardinals again, who I think. Let's see, did they beat? They took the series, didn't they, against us? Yeah, they took the series against us last time we played them. So
yeah, they're
going to play us strong again.
That was helpful.
Get the Reds, and then we get the Mets, and the Mets are the most roller coaster team in the Major League Baseball.
I don't care where you guys are in the division there. Can you just beat those Mets off for us, please? I really cannot stand the Mets. As much as you guys give us trouble and then you guys are annoying to us, in my opinion, the worst of the 2 evils is the Mets.
Yeah. And the earlier in the year, I would say we're playing all these top teams over above 500. And then I'm like, the Phillies really haven't played anybody. But then I looked at the schedules that we played, that y'all had the winning record of all the teams that we played. So,
PAS is here. Grimace and the Mets coming for you both.
Is the Grimace still a thing? Have they fired him yet? Is that Frank the Tank in that outfit? I think it is. I think it's Frank the Tank. I really thought Frank the Tank was going to die this year until the Grimace showed up. I really thought so.
Man.
But
wow.
It's got to be Frank the Tank.
That's really funny. The one thing that I said this to Larry, but the one thing that I am kind of jealous about with you guys is that you've had consistency with your players. And I'm not saying the Phillies haven't, but it just seems like when you look at the guys like Peter Moylan or even in this case, Jesse Chavez, and even the Adam Duvals. I know that Duvall's been struggling this year, but there's a loyalty to your fan base.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's one thing that you guys do have. And I kind of, not saying that I wish that we had that before 2022. Now we're starting to get it, but yours goes back a little bit more.
That was one thing I learned about when I first started doing Braves. I mean, I've been a Braves fan all my life. I watched Dale Murphy play at the old stadium. So I've been there for a Braves. And when I started streaming Braves baseball, I didn't realize that there's Braves fans all over the world.
Yeah.
And they're all over the place. And
yes.
They're kind of like Maple Leaf fans in hockey. They're everywhere, They're not just in Canada. They're all over the place. But, it is a true loyal fan base, and we have been blessed the last couple of years with winning seasons. So the streams have been fun. People have been coming out for them, and we've had some disappointments too. But we'll see. It's going to be we came back from a 10-game deficit before. We can do it again. I'm sure it might get back up to 10 eventually, but who knows?
I would really appreciate it if you guys just stayed where you are so that we don't have to get stressed. Like, we have a lot to worry about with ourselves, just getting everybody else healthy. And y'all can stay. Like, you can still win the wild card. Like, the wild card is not a bad thing. I mean, look at what we did.
Right?
Look at what we did.
For a little bit there, the Cardinals, they were getting close to us. They were getting really close to us.
Yeah, they were. I'm just saying. Like, the whole narrative, even from your manager last year, was, the rest doesn't really help us. So maybe the wild card thing could be good for y'all. I'm just saying.
That's what we're doing, actually, JJ. You actually might have figured it out. We're just like, let's just let the Phillies have their division.
Yeah.
And we're going to sit back and we'll get to play the Diamondbacks or the Cardinals or the Reds or whoever it's going to be.
Yep.
And
that's right.
We'll be hot. And then when Red October shows up, we'll be like, oh, you guys think you were hot stuff? Well, guess what? Here it is. That's the whole goal. You guys have figured it out. But
exactly.
There's a whole half of a season left. And I'm sure if I told you probably a month ago that we would have won the series when you guys were way ahead of us and winning like crazy, that you'd be without Harper and Schwarber and JT, and you'd be like, you're crazy. That's one thing about the Braves fans. They were like, oh, our season's over. We're not going to catch the Phillies. And I'm like, anything can happen. Anything in baseball can happen.
Yep. Absolutely. David,
Ohtani could go down tonight and
true.
Be out. It's
true.
That's
true.
That's how baseball is, Yeah, it sucks that we lost Acuna. Yeah, it sucks. We lost Strider.
And Michael Harris.
And Michael Harris, too. Hopefully he's coming back after the break. But,
Money Mike.
It's been rough, But we'll see what A's got to in the trade deadline. When you have Duvall, Arcia, White, and Murphy all going 0 for 4, and
those names sound good on paper.
Huh?
They sound good on paper, those names.
Yeah, I know it does. But when you have them the 6 through 9 going 0 for 4.
Yeah, I know. I know.
It's tough. You can't rely on just the 1 through 4 to do everything for you.
Hey, honestly, I have a little bit of I have a little bit of anger with Eli White now because my guy struck out the side in his first career game, and then he strikes out another batter to start off the next inning. And guess who broke that streak?
Eli White.
He just had to hit a homer off of that guy. Just had to ruin it. Had to get his first career extra base hit. Yeah. Just had to.
Yeah. Ugh. How many hit a homer this series? Kelnick, Duvey, Riley, Ozuna, Ozzy.
Yep.
Yep. And there's always that stat, when another team scores 3 or more runs on the Braves are like 0 for whatever, So
So, first of all, going back to the chat, I want to make sure I say hi to PAS, hi to Mike, hi to David. Guys, how do you feel about this series? Whether you're a Braves fan or a Phillies fan, let me know what your thoughts are down below on how you feel about both of these teams. Now, my other thing, so when I'm looking at these games, okay, let's talk a little bit about Friday. Because Friday, to me, the Phillies attacked, but the Braves just had an implosion in that 8th inning. Mm-hmm. What went wrong to you?
Well, I'll say Jesse Chavez, 2 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned run. But, that's Dylan Lee didn't help either. But, you were talking about horrible officiating. That last strikeout, I can't remember who it was, but that low ball that they called a strike to end the game. I can't remember who was up to bat.
Yeah, I remember that.
That puts 2 runners on top of the order. I think it wasn't Eli. Was it Eli White? I think
it was Eli White. It was Eli.
That puts the top of the order, Kelnick up. Does it change things? It brings up Ozzy, Riley. Someone's going to get a hit. Someone's going to score a run. But then, I can't really say much because Bryce Stott had the same call low, same spot. Yep. He was calling low all night long. So, but could it made a difference? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Mike Green, is it throwing up tell you anything?
Is throwing up telling you anything? Yeah. Well, I mean, that makes a lot of sense, Mike. For the first time, well, I'm not saying for the first time. I take that back. But you and I actually agree on something. And we don't always see eye to eye, Mike and I. But when we do, it's a very good feeling. It really is. It's like, oh, Mike and I actually see eye to eye on something. That's like a breath of fresh air. Even though I wish it wasn't, because I wish I was more optimistic, and I wish that the team was doing better this weekend, but they didn't. So I'm getting really tired of that. The other thing that kind of bothered me a little bit too was, like the people have been coming up with this argument that because JT is not there, that's like one of the reasons why the pitchers have not been doing as well. And while I understand it from the perspective of calling the game, managing everybody on the mound, I get that. I understand. But I also have been told that Caleb Cotham is a genius. And I would think that even though JT has been great, I would still think that Matt Strom would be pitching better, and that Ranger wouldn't have had this dip. It's interesting that the timing has kind of worked out that way, but I don't think that it's all necessarily about missing JT and just coming up with that excuse. Like, while there is some truth to that, that's not like a full legitimate excuse. Mm-hmm. They can still have a hard time with going over signs with Rafael Marchand and Garrett Stubbs. I understand that they're new people, but at the end of the day, Rangers' velocity was dipping down to 89, even on the fastball. And I don't know, like, that to me is just on Ranger.
On Friday, when Alvarado came in, I knew we were making a comeback because we're always good against that guy. Last year, we were good against that guy. Yeah. Just not enough.
Yep. Spencer Schwellenbach. How do you feel about him?
Young kid.
Yes.
If it came an opportunity to get another starter or experienced starter or a better shortstop, I would trade him. That's my opinion, but we have other guys as well in the bullpen, but Schwelly's doing good. I mean, so the first game he did well. Second game he came out. Second game he ever pitched, they did their homework on him pretty quick, and they shelled him. But that's going to happen to any young pitcher.
Yep.
But when you look at Schwelly's stats here for Saturday, 6 innings pitched, 7 hits, 1 earned run, 6 strikeouts. Yep. Not too bad. He had Bryson's. I don't think I'll show strikeouts on these stats here, but who did he strike out? The 6. Do you know?
Bryson Stott was 1. I have it. Is this it or no? No, I don't have it fully on me.
Okay.
I think he struck out Pache. Or wait, no, Pache didn't play that game. I'm sorry. Pache did not play in that game.
Why do they play him a lot?
Christian Pache?
Yeah.
Because he's just Christian Pache. Like he hasn't really been anything
Former Brave.
I understand. No, I get it, but like he hasn't really been special.
Yeah.
He really hasn't. Nice walk-off hit that was like 4 months ago or 3 months ago, but it feels like it was like 5 years ago. But
Right.
that's
I mean, that's what was the question when they played him on Friday. I was like,
so
why is he in the lineup? But
no, it's
I mean, the Phillies are truly
spot.
hurting their three of their best players. I mean, you really can't look at this series in August. Is everybody back and healthy? Can we look at it then? Good possibility to see what both of these teams are really made of. I think they're both just trying to get through the All-Star break and then try to get healthy as much as can and then go at it in August.
I feel you to an extent, but I'm the guy, even when things go wrong, I don't make excuses.
Yeah.
I don't make excuses. While, yes, losing Schwarber and JT and Bryce are big, and they produce a lot of runs. I said on Friday night, this team produced 8 runs without those guys. And while I understand that that's not necessarily going to be a realistic thing for them to do, what I did expect was when Trey went down, there was a next man up mentality. There was a sense of urgency. There was that time where Johan Rojas extended a single into a double, in the 8th inning, and he's putting his heart out there on the line. Yep. JT's getting hit in the nuts. And then there's a little collision at the plate, and he stayed in the game. Like they played with heart during those times,
right?
And this weekend, in their last 2 games, they've put up 1 run in 20 innings. That's unacceptable. I don't care what your offense is like. When you're just when guys are only seeing 3 pitches, or putting up like 1 to 2 pitch at bats. I'm sorry. If you're getting hits, great. If it's your pitch, fine. But you got to execute, and you have to come up with a better type of a game plan. So the problem with them before was that they weren't really getting guys home. But this series, the problem was getting runners on and just not executing.
Well, I was looking at Saturday's bullpen for you guys.
Unacceptable.
So the bullpen for you guys did pretty well. 3 innings pitched, no hits.
Yep.
On Saturday. They really shut it down after Suarez came out.
Yep.
On Sunday, let me look at Sunday really quick here.
Sunday, the bullpen was great.
Yeah.
The bullpen was great, but it was I'm not saying that Rob Thompson lost in the game, but Michael Mercado
6 1/3 innings pitched, 1 hit.
Mercado has to be taken out early.
Yeah, 5 hits, 5 earned runs. You can't wait till that long. Yeah, you're right.
You can't. I'm telling you, like 3 walks in the first inning. A walk is a pitcher's worst nightmare. The other thing that really bugged me was in that 4th inning, and I didn't bring this up. Okay, Bohm grounds out the 3rd. I think it was on the first pitch. I don't understand why he couldn't take a pitch there, but Marsh walks. Castellanos puts up a good at-bat, and he walks after Marsh steals 2nd. Cody comes up, and he grounds out to 1st. That was a nice play by Olson. It was a nice play, but even still, at that moment in time, you can't ground out there. You can't ground out into the fielder's choice, and then of course Whit Merrifield comes up, and realistically, if that was the playoffs, that would have been the situation like last year with Johan Rojas with the bases loaded in Game 7. He can't hit. He can't hit in that spot. And I just overall wish that Rob Thompson would have had a little bit more urgency to him too. I thought that the team looked very lackadaisical out there. I'm not saying that they weren't trying, because obviously, yes, they were. But I expected them to play with more heart. I just expected them to go out there and just leave everything on the field. And they left everything back at the hotel.
It was a
Yeah.
Great series for the Braves. I did not after Friday night. I was like, "This is over. We're gonna get swept."
Yep.
It's. I mean, we got Schwelly pitching tomorrow.
Yep.
I mean, there's a good chance maybe Lopez can save the series on Sunday, but I was like, "This is going to be a sweep, and that's it. It's over." But I was surprised. I was shocked, actually. So
yeah, and honestly, you should be feeling good. You should.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, now we could easily totally get swept by the Diamondbacks here, and
yes.
Actually, I think probably that's what's going to happen after a high like we just had, and now just
you're going to overlook the opponent.
Yes. Yeah.
Are you concerned about Max Fried after his last start?
That was the first really bad start that I've seen Max have.
Okay.
So, but it's the Phillies. They own Max Fried.
Right.
You know, it seems like it.
Right. I understand, but there have been. I think I asked Larry the same question, and he said yes, that he is a little bit worried about him because he, in his eyes, like has not looked the same.
Yeah, he gave up 11 hits, 5 earned with the 2 homers by Trey Turner. There's the runs, but his strikeouts are normally like 7 to 10, and he only had 4. So, I don't know.
I know.
I'd like to see Chris Sale against the Phillies. I would like to see.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to see that. Not gonna lie. I mean, the baseball fan in me did, not the Phillies fan, but yeah,
I would love to see a Chris Sale Wheeler matchup. I think it would be awesome to whoever could last through the 2 starters. I think that's what is going to happen. But
I agree with that. Guys in the chat. All right, let me ask you this. Do you guys see the Phillies playing the Braves once again in the NLDS this year? Let me know what your thoughts are down below, because again, I want to get you guys involved in the chat too. Is this Skeleton says, I don't trust Rob. He's been sitting, not warming up the bullpen. Rob overall has done a good job with the bullpen. What I disagree, where I'm with you is when you're going up against a playoff type of a team, and this team right here, you're going into their house, you want to try to make a statement. Mm-hmm. And if Mercado does not have his stuff, you got to go down swinging. You had an off day today. And we know that Rob doesn't like to use guys on back-to-back days. So with the off day being today, there was no excuse for him to just not take out Mercado in that first inning. Caleb has to go out there and talk to him. Okay, he gives up that final walk with the bases loaded. Guess what? Like I know that he got out of that inning, but to keep him in that inning is one thing. To keep him in for another inning is a whole nother thing. So that's where I stand. And then one more thing that that just came up that's kind of been bugging me too, that I have to make sure that I mention. There were some really bad base running mistakes. I talked about the Cody Clemens one where he tried to extend the single into a double. There are times to be aggressive, and there are times where you have to find ways to help your teammates. And being aggressive and extended the single into a double, I was not a big fan of that at all whatsoever. Johan Rojas had a couple of like really nice bunts, but he also had some really careless plays too. And I wasn't a fan of that. I don't know, man. Like I don't feel like my heart's been shattered, but I definitely feel a little down.
And, when we were talking about Max Fried, I think a lot on the defensive side on Friday. Not only did he give up hits, but there was a couple times Arcia could have made plays, but he just let him go by that they were hit in left center. There was that one play where Max Fried should have been over there on the first base plate. I think it was Matt Olson over there. I can't remember. Lots happened since then, but there was a defensive play where that extended the inning for the Phillies. So I think the defense could have been a little stronger on Friday. I think Riley had an error over there on third base as well. So was it full throttle Max Fried on Friday, or there was a lot of defensive errors too? I think there was like the Braves had 3 errors on that Friday. So,
Yep.
And all of it was with Max Fried. So I'd like to see Max Fried again, maybe Chris Sale again on a series if we could figure out how to make it that way. I think we could really shut him down again. But I don't know. I'm not worried about Max Fried yet. I haven't seen him pitch a bad game yet on my end.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense for sure. When there was one other thing I wanted to ask you. I had a brain freeze for a second, and I do apologize. I know that we're approaching the hour, but the other thing I wanted to make sure that we talked about a little bit was so Matt Olson overall, like he's had. Would you say that he's had a down year? Because I think that he's been.
Oh, yeah.
I think that he's been very streaky, and now I'm starting to understand like why the Braves miss Freddie.
Olson 1 for 8 for the series with the home run.
Gotcha.
Riley with the home run saved their series, but Riley 1 for 9 for the series. Like I said, Kelnick, Ozzy, Ozuna were the ones that saved the Braves here in this series. And the pitching. Nothing else. I mean, yeah, we had a couple homers here and there, Duvall, whatever, but Olson and Riley had their home runs, but still not making contact with the ball. They're so roller coaster.
Yeah. That's like the one thing about Castellanos is that Castellanos has been making contact with the ball, but it's just like weak ground balls and like that. People say that a strikeout can be like one of the worst things in baseball and grounding into a double play. But I'm sorry, like when you're constantly just grounding out, I don't care. Like you're getting out. Like that to me is just as annoying when you're just grounding out all the time, and you just become an automatic out. And Castellanos has kind of been doing that now once again, and that really just hasn't been good from that perspective either. How confident do you feel? Well, actually, wait, before I get to that question, I want to make sure that I acknowledge the chat. Butterfly says that we answered your question. JJ, I appreciate you for popping in last night. Crafty Sports, you do a great job, man. I was really, really proud that I got to spend some time with you and tune in. Keep up the good work, man, and feel free to reach out anytime. Jason said that he thinks that this is going to be a playoff series matchup. I'd love to see it again. I think it would be really cool. But my question that has been kind of irking me a little bit is, how do you feel about Snicker when it comes to the playoffs?
Same thing what you were saying about leaving
Rob.
a pitcher in.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think he just sits back and think, like, I got this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. I'm just going to sit back and have my hands crossed and just, when you have talent like that, I mean, how are you going to tell these guys what to do? I mean, it's just,
you're right.
But yes, he's made some mistakes. He's left, I don't think Max Fried should have pitched against Trey Turner that second time around. I think he was up in the 90s.
Yeah, I was wondering why that was actually happening too.
I wouldn't have brought in Jesse Chavez to face, Trey Turner, but considering we didn't have an off day, we weren't back into it, but that second at bat after he already hit a home run off of Max Fried. You might want to go to the bullpen face, but
and And Mike, really quickly, man, I see your comment. I've been complaining about Casty forever. Now you seem to see it. It's not that I didn't see it before. It's just the fact that you could get away with Castellanos not being the guy, even though like he was getting paid a lot of money and still is. But you had Schwarber, Harper, Bohm, Turner, and Real Muto all protecting him. But now, because 3 of those guys are out, guess who the eyes go on now?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have to be that guy, but now you got to step it up.
Yep.
And when you don't step up and this team needs you, that's the difference. That's the difference.
That's also with the Braves, with Acuna gone. Like, who was going to wake up? And it was Ozzy. I'll take that back. It was Ozuna that's been carrying us, but Ozzy's also been that backbone for us.
Yes, he has.
How many homers did he hit this series? He had
1.
He had 1. Yeah. No, he had 2 homers this series. So 2 homers for Ozzy, 2 homers for Ozuna.
Oh, he had 1 yesterday too. I forgot about that.
So both of them, and I said if it wasn't for those guys, we probably wouldn't have won this series. And I think a lot of people were like, "Oh, Austin Riley's going to pick it up here. Oh, Matty O is going to pick it up. We're just going to wait." But moving Kelnick to that first spot was a genius play, and he's doing well. I mean, Of course, he was 0 for 4 against Nola, but 2 for 4 for Saturday and Sunday. So, I think Snit thinks that he's got a lot of talent on this team, and he doesn't have to coach as much. But sometimes we need him to step it up and take the reins.
Sure.
And pull their pitchers.
Are you afraid that Kelenic is going to be replaced out in center field by Michael Harris once he comes back?
I would love to have. I mean, Kelenic does a great job in left field. I mean, I would be okay putting Michael Harris in center field, but I want Kelenic to lead off. I don't want Michael Harris as the leadoff batter.
Right.
I would even get Riley out of the 3-hole. Put someone else up there. I don't know who. Maybe put Michael Harris at 3-hole, and then
have Riley bat 4th and Olson 5th.
The pressure, get the pressure off their backs. Not feeling like I gotta perform. But
that's what Nick Castellanos is going to do. Like when he goes back down in the lineup, and even when he wasn't hitting, it wasn't as big of a problem because the Phillies were finding ways to win.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it goes.
Yes.
Remember how like years ago there was a caller. I don't know if you watch like some like sports rants, but I do like I love watching me like a good classic sports rant on WFAN. But they said years ago, like somebody called into the station and said that Joey Gallo has been like a really big problem for the Yankees. And there was a disagreement with I forget what his name is. He's on the Michael K show. John. Anyhow, like the whole back and forth was that Joey Gallo wasn't the problem because the Yankees were still hitting, but it was a glaring thing that Joey was a weak link in the lineup. And I feel like that Nick Castellanos is a weak link in this lineup, and so is Johan Rojas, but none of that in the regular season matters if your offense is backing you up.
Mm-hmm. I was going to take a look to see who the Phillies have coming up here after the break.
We play the Dodgers, we play the A's, then we play the Pittsburgh Pirates, then it's the Twins and the Cleveland Guardians, and then I think it's the Yankees. Am I right? Am I right? Like this is off the top of my head.
Yeah, you're right.
What?
I just looked at it.
Let's go.
You did great.
Let's
you did
go,
great.
Baby.
Yeah. That's impressive. Yeah, this Dodger series, and the Dodgers they're a roller coaster. I mean, isn't it crazy that all these top teams that have been dominating are all just kind of like up and down?
Right.
It's crazy.
Yep.
But that's baseball, right? It's baseball.
Baseball's a crazy sport, man. It's
Yankees. I mean, they're falling apart. They're literally falling apart.
Yep, exactly. That's It's a long season, man.
Yeah,
Like it's not a sprint or yeah. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon.
it's a marathon. You're right.
It is. Last
Anything
question
can
I want to
happen.
leave you with. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'll just say anything can happen. Anything could happen in the second half. It all depends on who gets hot.
Yep. That's all it is. Last question for you. And then I know that we're going to wrap things up. But at the trade deadline, okay, who are you shopping for? Like what are your needs? What do you think your needs are? Because for us, outfielder, actually, I'm sorry. I'll take that back. We don't really need anybody, but what would I like to put us over the top? A stud outfielder like Luis Robert or a Brent Rooker, and then one more back of the bullpen end type of an arm, like Mason Miller, obviously.
I think our bullpen is fine. I like our bullpen. We need a new shortstop. Arcia, ever since the All-Star break, is just nothing. I think I was calling for a new left fielder, but I think when Harris comes back, we might need someone. I don't know. I hate to have Duvall in the lineup every night. I mean, right. I hate to have him in the lineup every night. But you got Kelnick in left, Harris in center. I guess maybe a right fielder, maybe someone other than Duvall. I don't know. Duvall's just horrible. I don't know. And
I said a stud outfielder, Mike. I said that we don't need anybody. Didn't I say that? CeeLo? Yeah. I said we don't need anybody, but I would like a stud outfielder if I'm being greedy.
Yeah. I would take a right fielder.
Yeah.
And a shortstop in the trade deadline. I think with Max, Sale, Lopez, maybe another starter for the I don't know. He's going to do something. I'll full trust in AA like we always do. So we'll see what happens. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting. Who do you think will be the number one guy to go after?
At the deadline?
Yeah.
Luis Robert. Easily Luis Robert. Actually, I take that back. It's going to be Mason Miller because there's been teams have had problems with their bullpens, and in this day and age, you can never have too many arms. Mm-hmm. And the stock to me is bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
So Mason Miller is going to be given a lot from Oakland, and Phillies are going to have to outbid them.
It's going to be interesting. Like I said, I think I like our bullpen. We showed it this weekend how good our bullpen is.
Yeah.
And that's one thing last year was horrible about us. Our bullpen was horrible.
Just don't get Will Smith. Please don't get Will Smith because you know why.
Yeah.
It's been 3 years in a row, man.
Yep.
It's been 3 years in a row that he's won a ring. He won with you guys. He beat us in 2022 with the Astros. Yep. And then in 2023, he wins with the Rangers. So,
where will Will Smith go? We just want him on the roster.
Oh, man. Please.
We're bringing 2021
please
back.
Please don't. Alex, if you're listening to this podcast, which I don't know if you are, maybe you are. But if you are listening to this, you definitely don't have to do that. Now, Dombrowski, Dave, okay, if you wanna bring a little bit of some pizzazz to the team,
you don't have to
by all means,
just put him on the bullpen.
Just get the name out there. That's fine.
That's awesome.
Oh man. Are you excited about Ozuna in the home run derby?
Yes.
Yes.
Let me talk about Ozuna.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody watches Ozuna in the chat here. We were talking about this earlier. Ozuna has so much power. He just makes contact. It's gone. But he is the worst if you're trying to teach a kid how to stand in the box. His feet are everywhere. He's so off balance. I don't know how they go out, but he's just so strong that they go out. But yeah, I'm excited to see it. Hopefully he doesn't choke, but we'll see what happens.
I feel that. I don't know how I feel about Alec Bowman this home run derby, but it's nice to have a Philly representative, I guess. I just hope that it doesn't hurt his swing. That's the one thing I'm hoping for. And Mike, just to get back to your comment really quickly, I know that you said it before. I said we need a right fielder months ago, and you wanted me and Cora. I did not say that. I said that I thought that was a little bit far-fetched because this team was playing really, really well. But if we're being nitpicky now, 2 months ago wasn't really a big sample size. We're halfway done the season. That's a big sample size now to say that we can definitely upgrade our outfield. I still don't want Jazz Chisholm. I still don't want him on our team. I'm taking Luis Robert or Brent Rooker. And if Kyle Tucker, I don't see the Astros trading him now because they're in a good position, and I don't know what's going on with Kyle Tucker. I don't even know if I want him because of the injury that he's dealing with. But anyhow, regardless, now it's a bigger enough sample size, and I said that I would take an outfielder. But again, we don't really need anybody. We really don't. Yeah. But I want to be greedy, though.
We need a right fielder and a shortstop.
Yeah. Oh, all right, dude.
And another starter.
Yes. Yeah. You can never.
I don't want to rely on Schwelly in the playoffs.
Nah. Hey, I don't know. Well, you're not going to be able to get Kyle right back, but Ian Anderson, is he still there? Ian Anderson?
I think he's coming back from Tommy John. I think so. I don't know. We love getting pitchers hurt on our team. So
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Our strength coach on pitching is not very good. I'm thinking with Strider now, Ian Anderson went down. It's crazy, but
yeah,
just keeping our fingers crossed. Chris Sale stays healthy.
Yes,
and Lopez keeps it up.
Yeah, Lopez has been really good for you.
We spent $30 million on Lopez this year, so
it's been worth.
He's turned out pretty well. A reliever turned starter. So,
yep, I know. Dude, this was a blast. Please plug in your links and please plug in like where everybody can find you. Please let our audience know down below. This was fun. This was definitely needed.
Good time. And like I was telling our chat and was talking about, JJ and I, we do totally different ways of calling games, and we have a lot of fun over on our side. So if you ever want to come hang out with us when the Phillies aren't playing, just come check us out. We do baseball. Then we also do, if you like NASCAR.
Oh my gosh. I was just going to say, please go check out the NASCAR stuff because that thing is lit. Oh my gosh. You are like literally lighting the world on fire with your NASCAR streams. And I'm not even kidding. Like you've done such an awesome job.
Thank you.
You really have. Building everything from the ground up. It takes a lot of guts, and I respect that, and I look up to you from that perspective.
I appreciate it, man. Well, I always enjoy our talks, and I always enjoy stopping by when you're calling your games and all that stuff. So hopefully maybe we can figure out how to do a collab on the next series. We'll see. We'll figure it out. And I promise you won't have to listen to the chop like 24/7.
I appreciate that. Well, I guess I'm not gonna have to I won't have to play the bell, 24/7 either. So I'll make sure that happens. I won't play the bell.
We'll figure it out. We got about a month and a half to figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Yep.
So.
All right. Anyhow, dude, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for doing this. And guys, it's gonna wrap things up here. Let us know how you feel down below. If you're watching this on the playback, let us know if you're concerned about the Phillies or if you're concerned about the Braves, or how do you feel after this last series heading into the All-Star break pretty much, because there's 2 series left and then that's the All-Star break.
Yep.
So, yeah. All right. Love you all. Good night. And I will catch you all on the next one.
See you guys.